Welcome to the Intimate Marriage Podcast, where I teach educated, successful couples how to have incredible, passionate relationships so that you can stop compromising and start feeling fully alive in your relationship. I'm your host, Alexandra Stockwell, aka the Intimacy Doctor. I'm a physician and an intimate marriage expert. My husband and I have been married for 26 years. We have 4 children and full professional lives, and we've created an amazing relationship. I've shown hundreds of couples how to do so as well. So if you want to deepen your understanding of your own relationship and learn to access new heights of emotional, sensual, and erotic intimacy, you're in the right place. I will show you how. So let's dive in. Welcome to season 2 of the Intimate Marriage Podcast. I'm so excited for this day for actually a bunch of different reasons. I've been dreaming of, planning, preparing for season 2 of the podcast, and I'm really excited to share every single episode with you. And also today, the day that this episode goes live, is my 26th wedding anniversary. So, yes, I'll be having some very private celebrations with my husband. But in terms of a public celebration, I am thrilled to be launching season 2, which really is an opportunity for me to share some of the very best things that I have learned in my marriage and that help other couples every day. So it just feels really fitting to be doing an episode on what an intimate marriage actually is on my 26th wedding anniversary. So thank you for being here. I'm really excited to be talking to you today. My mission is to change the cultural narrative around long-term relationships so that when people think of long-lasting relationships, instead of thinking of them as a place where passion goes to dwindle off and eventually die, I want the collective, the world at large, and the individuals in it to understand that in a long-lasting relationship, there is some of the most exquisite, tender, gratifying, expansive, vulnerable, delicious intimacy available. The real question is learning how to use your marriage to grow and learn and create such beautiful experiences. And let me just say that having a fantastic relationship is absolutely a learnable skill. And one of the things that I am doing in season 2 is giving you a lot of tools and a lot of things you can implement in order to up your skills and in turn enjoy your relationship more. This episode is sponsored by the Aligned and Hot Marriage Program, my signature program designed for busy, educated couples who want to experience more closeness, more connection, and more passion. Go to theintimatemarriage.com for all the juicy details. So, let me tell you a little bit more about why I care about this and why I'm talking about intimate marriages. I have a few different reasons. One is really very personal. When my husband and I got married, on the one hand, I was really in love with him and our relationship was beautiful and full of promise. And on the other hand, I was sure we would get divorced. My parents got divorced. My step-parents got divorced. My husband's parents got divorced. And I knew the statistics, which actually made it such that we were just as likely to get divorced as to stay together. So my own childhood conditioning and my knowledge of the data had it be that on the one hand, I was in love and full of hope for our future together. And on the other hand, I just assumed that, of course, we would get divorced. It's like I couldn't imagine any better. And in fact, when my daughter, our first child, was young, I used to make like a mental recording of how lovely it was and how connected we all were, because I just assumed that in the future we would get divorced and my daughter's parents, meaning my husband and me, would no longer be so profoundly collaborative and full of mutual joy. And she would never know how good it had been, how connected and in love we had been when she was young. And so I wanted to be able to remember that. So when it had all changed, I could tell her about it. So on the one hand, you could think, well, that's messed up. And I suppose it was, but it also was very realistic because I didn't know whether it could be fantastic over the long run. And if so, how to create that. So, in my professional training as a physician and in the very many other trainings I've done as a coach, and in what I've learned from my clients, and in a way, most of all, what I've learned in my own relationship, I am clear that having a fantastic relationship is absolutely possible. And the key is just learning how to create that and making a point of doing so. And actually, as soon as you put attention on it and you get the positive feedback, it of course inspires you to do more. And so this whole season is going to be filled with all kinds of things that you can do yourself because I want you to create the positive feedback and realize how much deliciousness is available as well. So I want to also talk to you in much more universal and simultaneously specific terms. What happens when you create an intimate marriage? Well, statistically, it's clear that when your marriage is thriving and gratifying and ooh la la satisfying, and you and your partner really have one another's backs, that you, well, first of all, you'll be happier. You'll be more gratified, you'll be healthier, you'll have more professional success, and you'll get the pleasure of being in a partnership with someone where you both are really thriving. But it also is going to influence other people as well, like your children. Whatever you and your partner can do to create a really beautiful relationship, that is simultaneously training your children in how to have a great relationship as well. Because your children are learning from you. And if you've been married for 5 years or 25 years or 40 years, and you can really enhance your relationship, that is one of the greatest gifts you can give your children, to show them how it works, not by a lot of theoretical talking or wishing well for them, but to really give them an embodied experience of what's possible that instantly makes it more likely that they will have access to that and live it themselves. I really do believe that having an intimate marriage, a gratifying, beautiful relationship enhances all of life. Because when you trust yourself and you feel the trust and the support from your partner, you're able to take more risks. You're going to be less stressed, less protective, and more open and creative with a regulated nervous system available to meet whatever comes your way personally and professionally and every other which way. So it seems weird to make a case for an intimate marriage because the fact that it feels so good is enough to do it, but it really is not indulgent. It goes way beyond that. I suppose it's not quite as essential as oxygen. Well, it's not as essential as oxygen to be alive, but in my mind, it's as essential as oxygen in terms of really, really living in a way which is meaningful to you and contributes the most to the world around you. Having an intimate marriage just changes everything in such a good way. So, what exactly do I mean by an intimate marriage? Think for a moment. How would you define it? The way that I define it is that an intimate marriage is essentially a relationship, a vessel, a container where there's growth and learning and evolution and pleasure and conflict, where the conflict can be used to create more connection. Because with conflict, you're revealing more of yourselves to one another, and then you can learn to embrace what's been revealed and be creative. And there's a way in which each moment of the day can be infused with a loveliness and a sensuality. Is it necessarily every moment? No, it's not. But it's in unexpected moments that really beautiful things occur. I just love so much when I'm cooking and my husband will just walk by and gently brush the back of my neck. It's his way of saying, I see you, I love you. I know we both have our attention elsewhere, but I want you to know some of my attention is with you as well. That kind of a moment, which happens pretty quickly, it happens in a whole context, a context of erotic connection, of affection, of mutual respect, of knowing that we don't know what the future holds, but we are willing to lean in and discover it together. It's really such a dynamic way to live. And all of season 2 is a celebration of what an intimate marriage is. And in each episode, I'm going to be talking about another aspect, something to avoid, something to embrace, something to explore, something to understand, something to just forget about understanding and just focus on how it feels. An intimate marriage is the term that I use to describe a really solid and dynamic connection. There's so much stability and familiarity, as well as playfulness and spontaneity and the unexpected discoveries of new sensual sensations, of new thoughts, of learning to listen in a way that brings more presence. An intimate marriage is just, it's such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience. And all you need to experience it is the willingness to discover more of what is present in your mind and in your heart and in your body, and more of what is present in your partner's mind and heart and body. And so in season 2, I'm going to be sharing how to explore these things and savor them more. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me directly. My email is alexandra at alexandrastockwell.com. I love receiving your emails. I will personally respond, and definitely subscribe. And while you're at it, leave a rating and a review, but certainly subscribe to the Intimate Marriage Podcast so you can tune in for the next episode where I take this topic to the next level. If you enjoyed this episode of the Intimate Marriage Podcast, share it with someone who also wants more joy and more pleasure in their marriage. Be sure to leave a rating and a review, as that helps to spread my message. And if you're ready to deepen your relationship and create a truly intimate, delicious, and vibrant marriage, head over to theintimatemarriagepodcast.com to get started. Thank you for joining me on this episode. See you next time.